Hey, so we wanted to give you an update of where we currently are in our tiny house journey, where we're going, and how we got here. So, going back to the beginning, this whole thing started in January. Every New Year's Eve night, Brandon and I have a tradition where we sit down and remember the major events of that year, going through like what changes happened, what major accomplishments or disappointments occurred, ways in which we personally grew, or whatever it could be. We also then look a little forward into the coming year. So we look behind and then we look ahead and share our anticipations or things we might think could happen for the upcoming year. We do this every year, and it has become a very treasured time for us. And so we were doing that this past year, just kind of in that season. And the beginning of 2015 brought a lot with it. Like a lot in the very first week. It was very overwhelming. And it really just made us stop and think how we're living our lives and how we've been living our lives and how we're continuing to live our lives. And is this the life we really want? And we're really big on remembering that we're not promised tomorrow. So make the most of today, right? But oftentimes when you're in the craziness and chaos of life, it might be your desire to live today as if it were your last, to make the most of it. But the reality is probably that the most important things to you are the last things that you actually give attention to. Or at least that was the way it was for us. So our priorities were not really our priorities. And we didn't want to continue living that way. We knew we had to make some changes in order to make that happen. So we kind of started thinking of our life, where we are right now and where we want to go. And that's when we realized that the path we are on really is not the path that we want to be on. And that the destination that we're headed is not the one that we want to arrive at. So we did a lot of soul searching, did a lot of self-evaluating of ourselves and of our family, of our dreams and our desires. And we began seeing how there are so many things in our life that we really don't care for or don't want. Debt, a huge house, Brandon's job, things that to a lot of people are huge accomplishments or successes or desires, they weren't for us. So we said, okay, what do we need to do to change this? It's one thing to talk about or, to think about and talk about change, and then it's another to be active in that. So we first decided to put our house up for sale and move into an apartment. We wanted to begin minimizing, simplifying, and getting out of debt. So the apartment was our first choice in doing something to accomplish that. The apartments we looked at were about 1,100 square feet. So we were going to be losing a little over 1,000 square feet from our house. Apartment living would save us a little bit of money. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. It also did not require any maintenance or upkeep, and I think that was the real attraction. That's what we really loved, because so much of our energy and our time were going to keeping up our house and our property, and that was time and energy that we really wanted to be spending on other things on the things that we really wanted to be spending our time and energy on, right? So in researching apartments, that's when we discovered tiny houses, was kind of through that process. And we love the tiny house idea because, one, it was a lot cheaper than an apartment, but two, the money spent would actually be going toward us owning it rather than just renting. We also love the durability and the quality of the tiny house, as well as the ability to design and customize it exactly how we wanted it. That was important. We especially love the mobility of the tiny house, that we didn't have to make a decision on where to live right at that moment because it was flexible. Brandon did a phenomenal job creating the floor plan and the customizations, just the entire engineering of the tiny house. He did an amazing job, and we were really, really excited to do that. In that process, however, we realized that one of our desires is to really be mobile, not just like a little mobile, but like a lot mobile. And we've always been travelers and adventurers at heart, so the idea of being able to travel across the U.S. really excited us. To be able to experience new things is a huge part of who we are personally. And now while you can hook up certain tiny houses to your truck and just go, hit the road and go. The size of tiny house that we required because of our children would not allow us to be that mobile. Our tiny house that we had designed and were getting ready to build would only allow us to be mobile or move like 2 to 3 times a year compared to 2 to 3 times a month, which is what we really would like. So our plan kind of evolved again, and we like the durability and quality of the tiny house, and we like how we can make the tiny house our own. And one of my primary requirements for our tiny house was that our kids would have their own space and we could have our own space. I think that was super, super important, especially given the age of our children. So that was a huge factor. I also really wanted a full kitchen and a full bath and laundry. And like I said, Brandon did an amazing job at incorporating all of those things into the design. However, in our evaluating our mobility preference, we had to say, okay, well, what are we going to do? You know, a camper or an RV would afford us the mobility we would want, but not the quality or durability or the space. Most campers have like a master bedroom, but not a secondary bedroom for the children. Plus, the materials used are very poor quality because, you know, they're meant for vacationing, for occasional trips, not full-time living. So we found ourselves down the Airstream route. And for those of you who don't know what an Airstream is, they're basically kind of like the silver bullets of camping, so to speak. They're really cool looking. They're made out of metal and wood, so they're of the utmost quality and durability. The Airstream also gives us a win-win because it's like the best of both worlds. The durability of a tiny house with the mobility of a camper. Plus, we found out that Airstream has a floor plan that actually has a separate bunk room in addition to the master bedroom. So the kids can still have their own space that's not part of like the living or dining. For the most part, it meets all of our requirements. It does not have a bathtub or a dishwasher. So those are the only requirements I had that will not be met, unfortunately. But that's okay. What I'm gaining will be worth what I'm having to give up. And so we will definitely still be tiny house living. The Airstream is 230 square feet, which is well under the 1,000 square foot tiny house limit, even though it might not look like what we typically think of as a tiny house. The Airstream is definitely, like I said, it's definitely cool looking, though, and it has a fun, artistic flair that's definitely important to Brandon and me. So we're really excited about it. We're really excited about the prospect of traveling across the U.S. We have so many friends and family all over the states who we have had the privilege of meeting either here or overseas, and we're looking forward to reconnecting with them all and meeting new people as we go along. So we're excited to get to homeschool our kids during this time, for them to get to learn about geography and history and just everything in such a hands-on, you know, you're right there where it happened kind of way. I think that will be an amazing learning experience for them. So Houston will still be our home base, and we will be here portions of the year and then on the road for other portions of the year. And I think it's a great fit for our family and who we are as people, just personally. And again, kind of, you know, because we aren't promised tomorrow, Brandon and I don't want to wait to live our dreams when we're 60 or when we're retired. We want to make those memories with our children now and live the life we want now while we have that opportunity. And we're willing to give up whatever it takes to gain that. So with the tiny house, the biggest obstacle was location. Figuring out where to park was a huge challenge. But with the Airstream, location isn't really that big of an issue. However, the biggest obstacle now is occupation. You know, if you want to live on the road, you have to be able to work on the road, to be remote. And so it kind of works out perfectly for us because Brandon is ready for a career change. He's ready to do something new, something other than engineering. And so we've both done web design and development for the last 6 years for ourselves and for our friends and for other people. Brandon worked at a school in Texas as their webmaster for a while and absolutely loved it. We've just never done this as a small business for ourselves. We knew we wanted to work for ourselves to gain the freedom we want in life, to do work that is meaningful and enjoyable and helps other people. And when we really started thinking about it, web design fit into all of that. It just fit perfectly with what we want and with our skill set and our abilities. So we will be starting our own business, which is a huge feat. But, you know, we've had small businesses before and we've learned a lot from those. So we look forward to implementing some of those things into our web design business. And we're about set up and ready to get that launched. It's our business name is called Jailbreak Design Company, and it's all about breaking free and finding freedom in your work and in your life. So yeah, so I'll post the website down below. So if you know anyone who needs web design work, let us know. And basically, as soon as we're financially sustainable in our business, then we'll hit the road and get going. And we're really excited. We're really looking forward to it all. Our kids are thrilled. We asked them the other day where they would want to go first if they could choose any place in the United States to go. And it was really cute, their answers. We'll be showing that video soon as well. So it's a new season in life. It's one that I think really is good for us. It fits us really well for who we are. I think for the first time we're being true to who we are instead of following that script that other people had for us or that we took upon ourselves. And it feels incredible. I mean, just incredible. And we're excited to get going. So there's the update and the history kind of all in one. I know that was a long video, so I appreciate you sticking with me. And we will keep you tuned. Thanks.